Hey everybody, Peyton Marine here with another video, and today is the Forged in Fire first quarter finale video. So I got a bit of a script here I'm gonna have to read off because there's a lot to go over, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm very excited to show everyone the final work of all the finalists and announce the first quarter winner. But before, I would just like to thank everybody that participated, from everyone that initially sent in, and to, of course, the finalists that participated in the final. Um, I just, it's all around great work, and this is definitely one of my favorite aspects of the hobby is like the kit bashing and conversion. So I thought this was a super awesome and fun challenge. So many that might not know or that might be seeing this for the first time, this first quarter was an Imperium themed quarter, and I'm going to go ahead and announce now, and I'll say it again at the end of the video, and there will be other stuff coming out. But the second quarter is about to start here. I mean, I guess technically it is started, especially with this right now. The announcement being that the second quarter is going to be a chaos themed quarter, meaning chaos space marines and chaos demons are kind of the two things you can go. So again, just like last time, I'd ask that you send to the Paint Marine at Gmail 4 photos of the front, right side, left side, and the back of a model that you've converted or kit bashed, excluding like large vehicles, pretty much most vehicles, but mainly large vehicles and like like huge monstrosities and stuff like that. Looking more for your smaller characters, usually no bigger than a 60 millimeter and smaller base. So either a character, or it could be even just one model from a unit. It doesn't have to be the sergeant necessarily or the leader of that unit. It could just be a really cool flamer unit or something, like like someone that carries a plasma gun in that unit or whatever it is, and you just converted it really awesome. It could be something like that. So a single model, chaos theme for this next quarter. The initial entries, actually, I'll look at my calendar here right now. So right now, as I'm doing this, it is April the 14th, and we will go initial entries. I'm going to do 1 month from now. So we'll take it to May 15th, which is a Friday. So you have till May 15th, Friday, to get those initial submissions in to be considered into the final four of the quarter two challenge of this. So, all right. So again, as those that have seen the initial announcement video, this is a contest that has a little bit more of a hefty little prize. Now, I'm not sponsored by anybody or anything. It'd be nice if one day it could be a sponsored thing, so the prize support could get a little bit more. But already, this is a pretty decent amount, and this is coming right out of my pocket. So I did my best to make this whole experience as good, I guess, as fair as possible and everything. And I think it's pretty well achieved that. So that being said, it is a GW gift voucher for $100 US dollar. So whatever that it ends up converting to, because this is available worldwide. So the max it's $100 US, and then if that fluctuates depending on currency exchange, then whatever that end after the currency exchange is what it will be. So I decided to do that and to make it a little bit more versus just like a model or 25 or whatever it is. Just because of the nature of the challenge, I am asking a little bit more of people than I've seen in other contests and challenges. Meaning I'm giving them a set of parameters and a theme or whatever that they're to follow if they want to be considered to win. And a lot of times this could mean that they may have to purchase a model and bits that they don't already have in their bits collection or their backlog. So while with the themes, it kind of helps if you collect that army and you are competing in that quarter's theme. It helps immensely, I'm sure, but there are still going to be times where, just because somebody collects an Imperium army, such as like Astra Militarum, and then the final challenge could be a Space Marine type challenge, so they have no Space Marines or anything of that nature. They will have to go into eBay or the bits for trade or whatever it is to try to come up with the final for the challenge. Now, all that being said, I mentioned there would be no, it was just going to be just the main prize, no runner-up prizes or anything like that. But I can, like I said, because I can't always support that, but I can right now. So I'm actually going to be throwing out there that anybody that or not anybody, but the initial, or the ones in the final four minus whoever wins the final prize. So the other three are basically going to be able to. I'm going to offer them a randomly selected Space Marine hero from the Series 1. So if they want that, it's up for them to grab. I'll contact them through their email, and I will send that out if that is something they're interested in, or they can just pass it up if they're not interested in that at all. That's fine. I just wanted to offer up something else as just another thank you for participating. I'm sorry you didn't win, but just thank you for participating, because really it was a very, very hard challenge from a judging standpoint, and I brought in some other judges, to get that kind of a wide range. There's a grading rubric, which I'll go over here in a second a little bit. I'm not going into great detail into the rubric because I want to keep it a little bit. I don't want people to tailor too much to the rubric and try to win going strictly off the rubric. I want people to still have somewhat of a kind of freedom of expression, if you will. But I think the rubric really encompasses a lot of that in general. But for the most part, if you hit it, it was pretty much a check in the box. You got a point or you didn't get a point. And then at the end, there was a more subjective section, and it was only one section that you get points in. That was the more subjective of it. So going into the final challenge. So the final challenge was to convert the veteran Sergeant Cyrus from the Blood Ravens chapter. He's definitely predominantly featured in the Dawn of War games. And so the idea was you were to convert him into a Primaris Marine. Then they were judged by a panel of judges to determine the winner. And then this will go a little bit into the rubric. So the main areas of judging were the core build and the theme and story. And then we had the final was judge's choice. So for a core build, to kind of give an idea what that was kind of the encompass, what parts were used, number of modifications, base model modifications, the parts blending, like how well did everything fit together. That's just kind of an idea like what was looked at on the core build side of things. So you had the core build, and then there was some subcategories. So you just had core build, and then under that core build you had these kind of yes achieved or not achieved kind of a thing. So check mark, no check mark, point, no point, basically. Then for theme story, does the model meet the theme of the challenge? Were there well executed details? Was there anything eye-catching about the model? So that goes more into, so obviously the theme being the Blood Raven, Cyrus, if you do a little research on the Cyrus, what he was, like, so how would he transform into a Primaris Marine? How would that translate? He's a Scout Marine now, so what would that look like in the Primaris side of things, and what would he be doing? That kind of a thing. And then just in general, like how you pose the model, what's going on, kind of the basing kind of comes into a little bit of effect there, can add a lot to the story. And then any extra details and stuff like that. Excuse me. So then finally, the judge's choice. Now this was the more subjective section. Now this was just in case, and I wanted something that would kind of help break everybody apart in the case that there is a tie. Now there still could be a tie depending on what kind of wickets were hit in the other sections for others, but this was a hope to kind of break it out a little bit more. So for that, for the judge's choice, basically each judge got to subjectively pick and rank, this is my favorite model and least favorite out of the ones submitted, and then depending upon that, they would get certain points. So if a judge ranked one model as their first place, then that netted you 4 points. Second place, 3 points. Third place, 2 points, and fourth, of course, 1 point. So that way it would kind of help break out the scoring and potentially if there was ties anywhere else. And then after all that was said and done, all the final scores were compiled for each model. So across all the 3 judges in total, all the scores were added and divided by 3 to get your final score. And and that's where we got the final. Now, with all that being said, it was a very, very close race. Close. I'm not going to share the final scores at all. I don't want to go too much into that. Obviously, I will announce who the first place is, and I'm not going to announce, but I won't announce who the second place was, third, fourth, just to kind of alleviate any kind of like, I don't know, potential. I guess I'm trying to avoid any potential, I guess, hurt feelings. Hopefully nobody has any. Like I said, everybody, it did great. Everyone did a wonderful job. But I would ask that at this point, we're just going to respect the first place winner and the great work that the other 3 did. I'm also not going to be sharing that with them privately in an email. So again, I definitely appreciate everybody participating, but I'd ask, please don't email me asking. Please tell me what place I got. I know everyone's very curious how close they were, but I'm telling you, it was within points of each other to the point where I just don't feel super comfortable, because I don't want anyone to start being like, well, why, like, what made it, like, I'm going to go into a little bit, like I said in the video. I'll go over some of the comments here in a second. So the showcase here coming up, I'm going to show the initial models submitted. And then after that, I'll go into the final models submitted. And with those final models, I'll be sharing some of the judges' critiques that were written on the rubrics, and then the final, and then also what they liked. So just some minor critiques here and there that they may have, like those particular judges maybe didn't like something, or whatever it was, or maybe they would say maybe do this different in the future. And then also their, like, what they liked about the models, or and stuff like that. So, all right, like I said, all this is new. Hopefully everyone understands what I'm trying to achieve here. And what that is just more hobby encouragement, and to just showcase people's great work that they're doing out there. Like I said, everybody did some awesome work, and hopefully everyone enjoyed the challenge and will continue for these next 3 seasons. And then if this, like I said, this whole season quarters thing takes place, it'll take us up to the end of the year, and then everybody that won the final quarter will be invited back for a kind of a champions challenge at the end of the year. And if everything goes well and this continues to go pretty well, I may continue to try to do this more in the future, and like I said, hopefully get some more people to kind of back maybe some prize support or some other things with it. So, all right, without further ado, we're going to cut to kind of the showcase of the initial models that were submitted. And like, I'm not going to put any names on these. They're just going to be kind of just a slideshow of the initial models. There are a few. Now, with the initial submission, the requirement was a front, left, right, and back picture. But then another thing that you could do, and I forgot to mention in the beginning with the second quarter thing, and this is also a thing. Now, this is not a requirement. The 4 photos are a requirement for submission, but not a requirement, but encouraged is a rotating video of 1 full rotation of the model. So there was 2 that did submit videos, and instead of just putting their slideshow kind of pictures up, I just put the video in there of theirs. That didn't really affect whether or not somebody made it to the final or not. It's just a little bit easier to show the rotating video. So yeah, so you'll see those, and then after that I'll be back, or rather their models will be back up on screen, and you'll get to see their work and a little bit of kind of notes and commentary on that. So so first up we have Andrew Dart with his take on Cyrus changing over to a Primaris. Um, so just some quick pointers, or I guess overview of this. So what the judges had to say: one, definitely love the scenic base going on here. Not sure what that kind of parts from, but it was definitely a really cool, subtle thing to add to the base, but was very well executed. Um, I guess one of the critiques they had was there wasn't any huge significant um, kind of necessarily modification done. It was definitely some cool parts used. You have the comms array wrist arm being used, and then you have the infiltrator, or not infiltrator, the eliminator pack with the sniper rifle attached to definitely kind of give that throwback to Cyrus being a sniper. Um, but kind of the main kind of critique on this was, aside from the sniper rifle, like what was making this stand out potentially as Cyrus and not just another Space Marine. Um, but again, it was very well executed though, with the parts used. Next up was Jason King and his take on Cyrus climbing, transitioning over into the Primaris Rubicon. So for this one, definitely very dynamic pose and everything going on here. And a very like the base definitely is a standout with that Gene Stealer coming up out of the ground. And as you can see, looks as if Cyrus may have spent some time in the Death Watch, and some nice detail. You have the old kind of sniper rifle laying on the ground there, and then he's got a shotgun strapped to his back. Um, but kind of the main critique, I guess, from this one was that there was not any, again, kind of big significant change to be like, how is this Cyrus? More or less, this wasn't a huge difference from the original model. The head is still the same head, and you still have pretty much all the components are the same. And really, the biggest thing that this model is doing to kind of tell the story is in the base. So while the model and everything looks great, kind of the judge's critique was more that the base kind of steals away from the model and is doing a lot of the heavy lifting to tell the story. But in general, adding the Death Watch pauldron is kind of a nice touch to show a little bit more of a story there. And then the sniper rifle and the shotgun. The shotgun was definitely a favorite little extra to add on there. It's kind of cool. You don't see Primaris toting around shotgun, so it's kind of neat to see one there. That, you know, if you wanted to reach back and swing it out real quick, you could. All right, so next up we have Josh Hopgood and his take on Cyrus crossing the Rubicon. And again, kind of the theme we've seen across so far is everybody using the Phobos armor. And again, we have Josh using the Phobos armor. And again, like the first one, he's included the new Eliminators bolt rifle, sniper bolt rifle, to kind of show that, you know, he's transitioned over, but he's still holding to his sniper roots. Um, and then there looks to be some green stuff on the rifle itself and as well on Cyrus. Again, not painted. It can be kind of lost in translation. So I'm assuming, you know, if it was just on the cloak, it could be like a fur accent or something. But I think it's to be kind of like a ghillie suit, or like, you know, kind of a camouflage netting or something like that. Um, so um, I guess some critiques again. Not a whole lot of departure from the base model as far as the body and everything go, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. It definitely flows well, but then um, the pauldron, the Blood Raven's pauldron, definitely cool to add that on there as like a little nod and a little extra detail. But the position of it kind of seems a little off, as in one of the photos you can definitely see there seems to be like extra separation, and kind of creates this kind of negative space between the head and the shoulder to make it seem like the arm is at kind of an awkward position. That's hard to tell if a backpack had been added, one of the Space Marine power backpacks, if that would have helped alleviate some of that negative space. So that's kind of the main critique there. But then again, one of the highlights of the model for sure is that amazing green stuff to the face. This is definitely, without a question, everyone can look at this and know this is Sergeant Cyrus of the Blood Ravens, now a Primaris Marine. He's got his awesome, famous goatee, um, and bionic eye, and his long hair, and have painted his long golden locks of hair. So each of the judges definitely pointed out how impressed they were with that green stuff work on that head, and very pleased to see that come through. And then finally we have Tom Respin. At least I believe it's Respin. I don't have an actual last name. That's just how it came through. Um, so again, we see another use of the Phobos armor mark, which is, I think, across. I think everyone got that pretty good on point. Um, who knows? Maybe he would go into regular pattern Primaris armor, but uh, the Phobos definitely comes across as something that a Scout Marine transitioning over would probably want to be toting around to be a little more quiet and stealthy. Um, Here we can see a little departure from the sniper rifle, as he has a flamer. Um, which in the kind of the write-up that was given to each of them, it was kind of noted that aside from his sniper rifle, he did enjoy a large variety of weapons. Um, so then the pose is pretty cool. He's kind of stepping over some sort of Tyranid carapace. So that was a very nice and cool detail that they added. It's very subtle. It doesn't take away too much from the overall um, model. It's not like really imposing or anything. So that was a really cool little addition. Um, and then he's got his knife drawn. Again, with the head, it's a little more generic still. Maybe Cyrus decided to get himself a haircut. But one cool thing in there is a definite green stuff bionic eye there. It looks a little bit different than normal, and it's very kind of a cool little thing to add, a cool effect um, for sure. So I'm not sure if the hair is a green stuff as well. It potentially could be, I think. I'm pretty sure that it is. Um, so that was a cool addition. So they went ahead and tried to add some hair. They didn't quite go for the flowing locks of the other one, but the bionic eye is definitely a cool addition for sure. Um, so really, just kind of main critiques was again um, just trying to bring across that this is in fact Cyrus, and not just a different Marine. Now, this definitely tells a story that this is somebody, though. I mean, he's got a flamer, and you don't see Space Marines carrying around, well, Primaris Marines anyway, carrying around flamers every day. So, um, yeah, so that is the final one there. Okay, so that's all four of them real quick, and like I said, I kind of went down and dirty. I tried to pick some of the critiques and some of the positives in all of them. Again, they're all great, great work. All in all, like I said, they're all very cool looking models for sure. Um, But unfortunately, there can only be one winner at the end of it. And again, so I was looking over the scores again, and I had mentioned that it was all within like 1 point, and I actually was a little bit mistaken. So we had a first place winner, and then we had two tie at second place, and they were both only 1 point behind first place. And then we had the, I guess, third place winner, or third place, that was still a few points behind the other two at second. So it was, like I said, again, a very tight race. Everybody did great. But unfortunately, like I said again, there's going to be one. So without further delay, and maybe you didn't delay at all and you just skipped to the end here. Let me pull it up. Boom, there you are. So congratulations to Hopgood. Definitely a very awesome model. Like I said, everybody did great. But definitely the standout thing here was the work you did on the head to try and get that very true to Cyrus look. Really is what kind of helped this one stand out from the rest. Like I said, everybody did really well, but that extra little bit of attention to detail on the head, and I understand not everybody's great at green stuff, so it can be definitely hard for sure, but in this case, that is what grabbed him into the forefront for everybody across. But again, like I said, it was still a very tight, close race, because only behind by 1 point were two others, and even then, the last guy was only behind by a total of 3. That's a really close race. So again, congratulations to everybody. I'm very happy and pleased with everyone that participated, and hopefully this can continue to go forward and continue to grow and just get better. So I always ask that if anybody has any suggestions or thoughts or comments, anything constructive, please leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please check out the Facebook page. I throw a like over there, and if you haven't here, please subscribe. And I would definitely suggest subscribing to the YouTube channel now, as we continue to roll out this Forged in Plastic contest through these next quarters. I would suggest sticking around to see what else everybody else has in store. And again, keep a lookout for the the future releases for the quarters, as I will have the further breakdown for the final 2 quarters. Those will be broken down into Xenos 1 and Xenos 2. I haven't decided which one are going to go first over the other one, but those will be broken down into different categories of Xenos races. Since there's so many, I've broken it into 2 different, kind of like they do with the indexes, but not necessarily following how the index broke them down. So again, all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone that participated, and until next time.